Pucci go on a road trip. Hello, hello. Welcome to Tripping with Rachel. And I have a question for you. Do you have a dog? Because I do. Say hello to Pucci. Pucci, say hello. Hello. The problem we have with Pucci, it's because we love traveling, but it's not always easy to bring your dog with you. And we do travel a lot, but not like long trips. We like to go on short trips for the weekend, so 3-4 days, and we usually leave him in the dog hotel. But every time we leave him, even for short periods, he just always comes back not really himself. I don't know if anyone else has this problem with their dog, but this guy here, he has a separation anxiety. And I'm not saying that it's straight the dog's hotel fault, but he did have a couple incidents. Like, for example, he did came back with a hurt in his head, and he did had to go on antibiotic for it. Most of his symptoms as well is related to his tummy, so he always comes back with his tummy messed up, with diarrhea, and you know, having in mind that I send his food, so he's not changing his diet for something else. So to avoid this problem, we decided to take him with us. And why did we decide for Scotland? Because of the amount of open air activities that we could bring him in to do some hikes, and also because it's not too far from Ireland, but most importantly because we didn't want to bring him in the airplane, so we did take a ferry, and it was our first time taking a ferry with him and with a car as well. So follow up and I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know and everything we did to bring him to Scotland with us. We started our road trip driving around 2 hours from Dublin to Belfast. We took the Stena Line ferry from Belfast to Kilmartin, and we took the first ferry that was leaving about 7:30 a.m. and it arrived at 10 a.m. in Kilmartin. And the crossing takes about 2 hours and a half, and it was surprisingly smooth. It was our first time crossing by ferry with a car and a dog, and I was genuinely like impressed by how organized everything was. Cars are guided one by one and parked. Once we are on board, you leave the car and you head upstairs. On board, there is a spa, sauna, shopping area, and a restaurant. So the ticket for 2 adults, a car, and the pet lounge go and back costed about 518 euros for the time that we went. And I actually found it very affordable, less bureaucracy, less stress going through airport line security. I really enjoyed taking the ferry. It was the first time that I crossed from one country to the other in a ferry. You don't necessarily have to pay for the pet lounge. You can still bring your dogs and leave it inside the car for the crossing. Personally, I wouldn't choose that because it only costs us like 24 euros which way for you to bring your dog in the pet lounge, and it's like less than 50 euros for your dog to be way more comfortable. Because also, once you are in the ferry, you can't go down to the parking to check on your dog, to check on your car, so they lock the door and there is movement. It's a ferry. You are in the water and the cars shake. Some alarms goes off in the cars. I think it could be very stressful for your dog. By all means, you can leave your dog in the car if you don't have the extra money, but I would definitely recommend, especially because once you're in the pet friendly area, it's way nicer even for you. Inside the pet friendly lounge, there is seatings, there is coffee, and it's quite nice. It is calm and clean and very well organized. There were a couple dogs there and all of them behaved beautifully. The pets are not allowed to roam free, so they do have to stay inside their crates throughout the whole way, so that's about 2 hours. So just bring a crate that your dog is going to be comfortable in for the 2 hours. Don't bring anything too small for them. You can bring your dog outside for a walk in the deck. There is a specific area for them to do their business. After arriving in Carnarvon, we drove about 2 hours towards Glasgow, where we stopped for lunch at the Steam Wheeler. This place deserves the praise. It's generally dog friendly and it has a pet station with water, bowls, treats, and the food was also excellent. From there, we continued driving for about 2 hours to Kilmartin. And my original plan was to arrive in time to go to the Kilmartin Museum, but the museum closed at 5 and the last admission was at 4. And we arrived there at 4:04 and we weren't able to get in. So we just decided to go check in a hotel and went for a walk around, had dinner, and just an early night. Next morning, we started exploring Kilmartin Glen about 8 a.m. and it took us about 3 hours. The trail is easy to follow, peaceful, and full of history. We barely saw anyone else. Kilmartin Glen is one of Scotland's most significant prehistorical landscapes, acting as a sprawling open-air museum in the heart of Argyll. The trail went through a high concentration of Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments, featuring over 800 ancient sites within a 6-mile radius. As you walk, you will encounter a striking linear cemetery, a sequence of burial cairns aligned across the valley floor, alongside mysterious standing stones. This landscape wasn't just a place to live, it was a sacred ceremonial hub where ancient communities gathered to honor their dead and mark the passage of time. The historical importance of Kilmartin Glen, it's in its role as the cradle of the Scottish nation. We did this trail in about 3 hours. We were walking really slowly. We let our dog just smell everything because, this trip was for him and he was so curious. We encountered some sheep around the way. His first time encountering sheep. Even though we are from Ireland, he has never been that close to a sheep before and he was really, really curious. I think the sheep were very used to the dogs because they didn't really care about him that much. We decided not to go to the museum after our trail because, as I told you, my plan was to have gone to the museum yesterday and we just really didn't have enough time to squeeze in, or otherwise I would have had to lose something else through the other day. So we went back on the road and we started driving, and after driving for a little bit we decided to stop at Oban for a lunch, and we went to this amazing restaurant that's called, I'm probably saying that wrong, so Scottish people really forgive me, I believe it said Quan More, and it was obviously dog friendly. It was very welcoming with a lovely view, and Oban itself, it was a beautiful, even though we were just passing through, didn't explore a lot, we did a quick walk around and we found everything lovely. So after lunch we were making our way towards Inverness, and it was supposed to be a 3 hours drive and it became a 5 hours drive because while I was driving the A82 I fell in a pothole and Something you need to know about Scottish roads is because it's beautiful. The landscape, it's beautiful, but the roads are not that great. Most of the time, it's just one lane, and the shoulders are really, really bad. You don't have even a space to put your card on the side. Like we got a puncture tire, and I needed to swap for a step, and you just have to stop in the middle of the road. And I was a bit overwhelmed. I've been driving about over 15 years now, and I only had to change a tire once, but I was just a bit out of practice, and I did get really nervous. I didn't even get like any footage or anything because I was so stressed out. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I had an idea because I had changed a step like years ago, I believe like 10 years ago. I didn't really remember. I was on my phone looking on YouTube how to change a tire. But anyway, we're really lucky. This person stopped and he helped us, and he told us where to find someone that was trustworthy. We made our way there, and we were able to get a new tire and keep going on our journey. But we did have to cut other things, and that's also very important when you're doing a trip, is to realize that even though you have a chronogram, like if you do have a chronogram, if you program things, it doesn't not always work out. So you have to have a certain flexibility when you're traveling, to be able to adapt these small things that happens. But I was just happy that no one got hurt, we were all safe, and at the end of the day, that's what it really matters, is everyone was safe. And it was a misfortune, but we were able to go around it. But we ended up having to cut other things from the itinerary, and I even thought like, oh damn, I should have gone to the museum because I had to cut other things anyway. But you know, you can't know what's gonna happen, and that's life. Things happens and we go around. Also, I just want to give a shout out to the guy that stopped for us. Thank you so much. This Scottish man that really saved us. So after a couple of hours lost, high stress, our plans were shaken, we finally got back to the road and we made our way to Inverness. But when we got to Inverness, we were actually so stressed and so tired, we just decided to go straight to the hotel. We also had already lost so much time. We wouldn't have enough time to do what we had planned. So we decided to just cut our losses, go to the hotel, and have an early night's sleep and recharge for the next day. We spent the night in a hotel called Drundevon Country House, and the hotel was very nice. What I find nice, they left some towels outside that was dedicated for the dogs. It was really nice. The bed was really comfortable. I would definitely recommend, and the price was really reasonable as well. So we decided to start our day in Aquila Cred, which is a Highland cow farm, and it's 30 minutes outside of Inverness, and something I've been really excited about it. The farm is pet friendly and you can see and feed the cows. It was Pucci's first time seeing cows, and he was incredibly well behaved. No barking, just really curious. He was more invested in trying to steal their food than in the cows per se, but he was really well behaved. They have a lovely tea room, an amazing gift shop, and I got a really cute plushie. After we drove back from the Highland cow farm, we went back to Inverness and we did the Loch Ness walk with Pucci, and it was a very lovely walk, but it started raining a lot, so we decided to cut our walk short and we went for lunch in the Castle Tavern, which is right in front of the Inverness castle. But we didn't have the opportunity to go in the castle because it was not pet friendly, but it was nice to have lunch with the view. The food was delicious, and I would highly recommend. The pub doesn't look really like that's gonna be that nice food, but honestly it was the best food we had throughout our trip. It was at this pub, so I couldn't recommend it enough. It was really, really nice. After lunch, we drove about 1 hour to the Touchstone Maze, and the walk itself, it was stunning. It was still raining on and off, and the autumn colors, the sheep, the cows, and even the rainbow appearing made it a magical experience. But after hours of walking in the rain, really got heavy and the wind was so strong, and that was the moment I realized we were lost. We found our way back eventually, but we had lost so long in this trail. We had to get back without really finding where the Touchstone Maze was, which was really disappointing. But the walk was honestly worth it. The hike was so nice. It was disappointing, but also the Touchstone Maze is not an actual ancient site. It was built in 1995 in Khmer wood. So after losing again other couple of hours to find our way back, I realized where we took the wrong turn, and well, that was life, but it was definitely worth it. I'm going to cut another thing from our list because we're supposed to head towards the island castle and we didn't make it, so we made our way to Broadford in the Isle of Skye, and that took about 2 hours drive, and we just call it up the night, and we stay in a hotel called House of Jupiter, and it was so nice. We stay in a cabin. It was a very nice hotel, also pet friendly, and we went straight on to bed. Once we arrived, we had dinner at the hotel. It was actually also really good food. We just had a very nice night's sleep, and in the next day we woke up super early for the old Man of Storr hike. We got there about 8 a.m. and the parking was already filling up, but we still were able to find a spot. The hike was peaceful and well maintained, and I would describe it as a moderate walk. It is challenging near the end because of the incline, but it's absolutely doable if you go slowly and you can take regular breaks to catch up some air. We let Pucci set the pace because he's such a small dog. We didn't want to pressure him, so we followed his pace, and he completed the entire trail with only a little help from us to jump over some large rocks. The views at the top were incredible. We took about 3 hours to hike up and down. It is definitely a popular stop, and I would say that earlier is better than later for a visit. When we were leaving, we saw like the amount of people coming up, and I would say that's very difficult to find parking after 10 a.m. I'm not sure how it is in the afternoon, but I would really recommend to go early on. After our hike, we stopped for lunch, and it was very sad because we couldn't find the restaurant, so we had to made up in a local store. We just bought some crisps and a fridge sandwich, and after a quick stop, we even ate at the car. We went to our next stop, which was the Kilmartin. I have to say, the road up, it's no joke. The road up to the beginning of the trail is incredibly sketchy. Only one narrow road to go up and down, many potholes and curves. It is definitely not for a beginner driver. I was amazed and horrified to see big touristic buses filled with people in these roads, and roads were like crazy because it's just one lane to go and back with some shoulders, and it's really not an easy drive at all. I wouldn't recommend you to drive to the top if you're not a confident driver. After we reached the top, the views were amazing. We attempted to do the trail in the Kerrang, but after 10 minutes I had to give up because we encountered a part of the trail where honestly I didn't feel comfortable crossing because you have to give a bit of a leap. I was really not comfortable doing it, and it had like kind of a waterfall. I was really afraid to slip and fall, and also because we had Pucci, I just didn't felt comfortable enough. So I'm not sure how difficult was the rest of the trail. And that's also something that I think that it's important, even though if you want to do something but you get there and don't feel quite comfortable, you don't feel quite safe. I think it's important to know your limits and to know what you want to do or you don't want to do. So it is okay to give up, even if you were the one that wanted to do that in the first place, but it's still okay to give up. We drove to our last stop at the Ferry Glen, which felt like the perfect ending. It was soft, it was surreal, and it was very calm, and I felt way more comfortable doing it because it was just flat walks, and it was actually very magical. So the Ferry Glen, it's surreal. It's like a miniature landscape of conical green hills and hidden ponds that looks like a Highland mountain range shrunk down to human size. And at its center stands the Castle Ewan. It's a massive natural rock formation that looks exactly like a ruined medieval fortress, but it's actually natural. It was created by ancient landslides, but the terrain is so symmetrical and strange that it feels like it was a sculpture by supernatural hands rather than nature. And that's why it's called like a fairy glen, because it feels like you could encounter anything magical at any moment. So after that, we just drove back to our hotel, had dinner, and the next day it was just a long drive back to Kilmartin from the Isle of Skye. It took us about 7 hours to drive back, but I went stopping between roughly from 2 and 2 hours, and we stopped again in the same place in Glasgow because we loved it so much, this team-wheeler, that we stopped there again for lunch. It was honestly so tiring, but so worth it. We loved our trip. Pucci definitely made the most of it. He loved it, loved all the hikings, and he was such a good boy. He's so well behaved in the car and in the restaurants and everything. We feel that it was really worth it to do this trip for him. And thank you very much for watching. I hope somehow any of this information can help you to plan your own trip. I would 100% recommend Scotland. It's honestly out of this world. We love Scotland. Thank you very much for watching. Say bye, Pucci. Bye.